What's up, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. One more video. It was a video I did promise in one of my videos, so I'm going to do this video right now, and it's going to upload when I go to bed. This one's going to be a video on Danny Little Red Lopez. What I want to do is I want to go back to talking about boxing legends once again. I haven't done it in a while. Don't know why I haven't done it in a while, but basically, I like to talk about the history of boxing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a historic fighter once a week for the next 52 weeks, the next year or so. I'm going to talk about a historic boxer this week. Every week, once a week, every Thursday night. I'm going to talk about one historic boxer, make a video, and upload it here to YouTube. So this week is going to be Danny Little Red Lopez. Danny Lopez is the former WBC featherweight champion. Held the belt from defeating David Cote, I believe it was like February of 1976, and held it until 1980 when he lost to Salvador Sanchez, the late and meant to be great young fighter. And next week I'm gonna do Salvador Sanchez, being that I'm a huge fan of Sanchez, and I like seeing him fight. And Lopez, I like watching his fights. I was going through fights this week. If you guys don't know, I average at least 3 to 4 fights a day or night when I get home from work. So I watched about 3 to 4 fights a night, and I randomly came across Danny Little Red Lopez. I've seen a few of his fights years ago, but I just never really paid attention in the last couple of years. And I came across his bout against Bobby Chacon. It was supposed to be a huge fight in Los Angeles. I think it got like $200,000, which is a huge fight purse back then, prior to the inflation in the 70s. But it was a really good fight. If you hadn't seen the fight between Bobby Chacon and Danny Little Red Lopez, Schoolboy versus Little Red, that's a classic. If you see like the first 2 rounds, you know that fight is an instant classic, and it's on its way to being a classic. Even if you saw it live, that fight was just a pure spectacle. It wasn't necessarily a boxing match; it was a pure onslaught brawl. Both of them coming forward, hitting each other with decent shots. Chacon was from time to time in spurts, just letting Little Red come in and get his shots off, and he was landing that quick jab on him. And he was landing this quick jab on him, landing combinations, and after a while it just got to him. Something to analyze with Danny Lopez styles, I personally believe myself that he was left-handed and fighting, as a right-handed, from a right-handed stance. The reason being is because he did have very leaky defense. He was very susceptible to right hands. If you look at the punches he got hit with, about 70% of the time he was being hit with right hands. And usually combinations that would land on him would start with the right hand. But also, something also to note with Danny Lopez was the fact that he did everything with Danny Lopez started with the jab, his left jab, and he was very dependent on that left jab, because from time to time he would lead in with the right hook, but he just threw his jab, and the jab would pretty much set up his combinations. That's basically how it worked. He would double jab, right hook, and sometimes it was predictable, but it worked for him. Double jab, right hook, double jab, left and right hook, or right and left hook. The jab just set up hooks for him. And most of the time he was a bit of a headhunter, but he stood straight up. He was imposing too. He had this imposing will on fighters. He was 5'7", he had like a 71-inch reach, and he just stood straight up most of the time. If you look at his fight against Art Hafey, Canadian fighter, against Art Hafey, he dominated him. Even though Art Hafey was able to come in and land counter shots and do everything to try to exploit a weakness, Art Hafey was like 5'1", 125 pounds, and Lopez looked so much bigger than Art Hafey. He's standing straight up, he's fighting tall. Hafey's having trouble landing, a significant shot because he can't come underneath Lopez jab, and Lopez looked like a monster. The only time, and Hafey did hit him with some really good punches in like the 4th or 5th round. He hit him with some good punches that he had to wind up on, and Lopez didn't even take a step back. He showed a lot of heart, and that's just how he fought. He fought with a lot of heart. He pressed the action all the time, and and overall, man, he was exciting to watch. He retired early. He came back, and I think he retired when he was about 27, 28 years old. He retired early because, and not only that, because, with that type of style, you can't last too long in the sport. And with the punches he was being hit with, and being that he was at a smaller weight, he couldn't sustain that type of punishment that long. And also, if you hear him speak now, he does have some slurring in his speech. I think the Chacon fight at such a fast pace that it was at was probably the beginning of it, and also the fact that against Jose Caba, a fighter from Argentina, he was able to land against him and knock him down. Salvador Sanchez, just beat him. He was making him miss with his jab, and making him miss, but hit him. Things of that nature. Like I said, if you guys have not seen Daniel Little Red Lopez and never heard of him, you guys better YouTube him. Because I know a lot of people are into this, current scene of boxing, but you guys see Daniel Little Red Lopez, exciting fighter to watch. Pretty much laid it all out on the line. Held the featherweight championship for about 4 years, had 10 title defenses until he lost to Salvador Sanchez, and he called it a day. He did come back and got knocked out like 10 years later against some guy, but Daniel Red Lopez, that dude was balls to the wall, pure machismo, and I'm never going to say that ever again. So anyway, be sure to join me next week for Salvador Sanchez. Anyway, hit me up on Twitter, Julian W. the Great. I'm out of here. Peace.